Yeah, Joe Pinion, Republican nominee for U.S. Senate, running against Chuck Schumer. We're here, as Allison said, once again, because the needs of the criminal have been elevated over the responsibility to the common man and the common people. You can say what you want about what happens at the state level, but we know that walls of government, they allow things to go back and forth. And what has happened at the state level starts in Washington, D.C. Started with the three most dangerous words ever uttered in modern politics: defund the police. Now, my opponent, Chuck Schumer, he has done nothing. He has said nothing to quell this wildfire that has now spread across this country, spread across this state like a cancer, metastasizing and consuming everything that it finds in its path. You look at how we got here with bail reform. It starts with a young black man by the name of Kalief Browder, a young man who was put behind bars far too young for far too long, and as a result of the trauma of a crime for which he was accused of that he never even committed, he ends up taking his own life. And we set forth to make sure that there would never be another Kalief Browder, that we would not allow his death to be in vain. But there is a road of unintended consequences when you shackle the people who are supposed to be the stewards of our laws, when you make it impossible for those people who raise their hands to keep violence at bay from doing their job. And we see it here before us now. We're here in Buffalo. We're getting ready to leave here and go to Rochester. Two cities that are very similar to my hometown of Yonkers. High concentrations of black and brown people looking to pursue their American dream. High concentrations of poverty. The three-strand cord of despair that is crippling the American dream. Lack of educational opportunity. Lack of resources that drives the poverty. And the poverty plus lack of education that drives the crime. And what is Chuck Schumer doing about this? What is Kathy Hochul doing about this? They're coming up with new boogeymen every day. They tell the black parent that they shouldn't be concerned about the fact that children are being shot on their way to school because there is a bigger boogeyman called the white supremacist. That's the real enemy, and only they can protect you. It's a con. They go and tell the woman who has been raped that there are bigger threats to democracy than her personal safety. There are people who have an R next to their name on a ballot. That's the real threat to her liberty. I'm here to tell you that it's not. Safety and security, it's in the bedrock of this nation. It's the first obligation that we have to the people that call this state and this nation home. We have forsaken that obligation. You go from city to city. We have seen 12 major cities across this nation hit all-time highs for homicide. Chuck Schumer does nothing. He says nothing. New York City shootings went up 90%. Homicide went up 30%. Rochester, New York, right down the road, now wears the crown for having more murder per capita than Chicago, Illinois. What is the response to all of this? Nothing. Silence. And so it is up to the people to take their power back. I stand with Lee Zeldin because I know that he will prioritize the needs of the people over the power of government. I stand with Allison Esposito because he quite literally walked away from the job of keeping people safe, because he recognized that those who had raised their hand to do so are now no longer given the latitude to execute their oath and their responsibility. It's black and brown communities that bear the brunt of this neglect, sponsored by government. At the height of COVID in New York City, 100% of the people that were shot and killed were black and brown victims. It is a scourge that is crippling this state. It is crippling this nation. And so we have work to do to let people know that whether you are left of Bernie Sanders or whether you are right of Donald Trump, irrational violence will find you. when the people who have been placed in charge with the stewardship of this state pretend that your safety is an afterthought, that it should be placed on the back burner. And so I want to thank the press for coming here to cover this, because people need to know that their eyes are not lying to them, that yes, in fact, their communities are not as safe, that black bodies were used as cannon fodder to make sure that the people on the left could win an election, and all they think they can do for justice, like my opponent Chuck Schumer, is to go down to Washington, D.C. in the Capitol Rotunda, kneel in kente cloth, and say that he feels your pain. Tell that to the woman who's been raped by a man who has no business being on the street. Tell that to the mother who's had to bury their child long before they were ever supposed to be placed in that position. Tell that to all the parents, the fathers, all across this state of all colors, all creeds, whose last image of their child is a toe tag and a body bag. This is abnormal. Nothing about this is normal. And on Election Day, November 8th, we have the opportunity to say that we will not accept the abnormal as normal anymore. So when I thank you for coming to cover this, I want to encourage all the people who see this, that we are with you, that we stand with you, that your community should not be a killing field, that your living room should not be a shooting gallery. And with your help and with your support, we place our hearts in your hands. We ask you to place your trust in ours, to do something you've never perhaps thought you would ever do, to vote for people with an R next to their name. There's no R in my blood. Just one heartbeat for this nation, for my country, for my community. Let's get this job done together. Let's heal together. And let the people who preach division and bring it to your doorstep, let them know that their day has come. Thank you so much.